Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I talk about the new champion Akshan, give a preview of patch 11.16, and talk about how things are going with Summer Split Week 8, and give our thoughts heading into the final week of the LCS Summer Split. We hope you enjoy this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 23 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, a.k.a. the Advertising Sheep. Because if you show me something, dude, I will go buy that shit. Like Jersey Mike's or something.
Dude, I've used so many TL win, hashtag TL wins to get $2 off my order, even though I'm not a TL fan. It's worth it, dude.
I actually tried I tried doing the like Buffalo Wild Wings thing where like you buy like a meal package and you get like a free Hextech chest and key.
Shit.
So, I mean, I think it's actually a pretty good deal compared to what Buffalo Wild Wings usually costs. So I'm kind of down, and I would try it again.
Yeah.
I mean, boneless wings are kind of weird. I'm definitely a bone-in kind of guy. But you know, it was fine. I might do it again. Might get another chest and key for the fuck of it.
Dude, I don't remember the last time I've been to a B-dubs, but yeah, I mean, I'd take a free Hextech chest. I mean, it's not free. It comes with me buying meals, but you know, I get it.
You're gonna eat anyways. That's how I feel about it.
That's true.
And joining me on this episode is, you have already heard him, Mr. Raymond.
Oh,
What's up,
shit. It's good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit, but it turns out I had COVID all of last week. So I'm recovering.
Not the COVID.
Yeah, dude. The vid, it got me. But I'm doing okay. Just lost a little bit of taste. It's coming back as it wants.
Are you staying strong? You still gaming out there?
I'm still gaming, man. I think I took probably a few nights off, but I did get some Akshan gaming in this weekend for sure.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah,
Is he hard to play?
He's a little hard. He definitely feels kind of weird. Like his attack speed is slow. You have to do like it feels like he stands still a lot when you're not like hookshotting and stuff. I don't know. It's definitely weird. It's different. His E ability is just like has very strange targeting. It's kind of clunky. Like you E and then you stand still like Camille does, I guess, when she goes into her E, like at the wall, right? Like you kind of stand still, but it'll stop like the movement that you were doing. So like you're walking and then you hit E and then you stop and then you can pick a direction. And sometimes it's like it doesn't always feel intuitive like which direction you're picking. So then sometimes you just like fly really shortly like into a wall right next to you, and other times you're like, oh, I'm supposed to go the other way. And then it has a little jump, and like you do the spin around the wall, whatever point you're at, and like after you finish that or whenever you want to jump off, you can hit E again and it'll jump you like towards your cursor, doing like another little vein tumble. And that's like just another thing that's a little weird, and like you can screw it up where you jump and then you tumble like somewhere that you don't like want to be or too far away to actually do any damage following up. So it takes some getting used to. And that's just with his E spell. I realized I didn't talk about like anything else. The amount of ultis that I just shot into towers or minions or blue buffs. The amount of like just Wing. His W is kind of a weird spell. Like you can just be indefinitely invisible or camouflaged, which can be strange in a lot of situations too. I don't know. He's kind of fun though. I like him.
Yeah, I tried him out in practice too. Like it seems kind of weird his Q. I mean, first of all, his passive is fucking crazy. How it feels like he has like 10 things on his passive.
I know, right?
He has like Lucian passive. He has
Vayne passive, and
like,
the Eclipse passive all in once.
Yeah, and he has a 3-hit thing, I believe, and then he also has like the move speed from like Quinn marking somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I guess where like you could just auto and then
it's kinda...
cancel it and like get move speed for no reason.
Yeah.
But or the double follow up like set, I suppose. It's more like set, I guess, for the double auto.
Yeah. That's pretty fun to play with in lane, I think. Like you can like you can go between, like, if you're against a melee player or something, you can space a little bit, just doing like the single autos like on your minions, and you run at them and try and like wiggle back and forth to get them to come in range, and then if they
Oh, I
do,
like that.
you
Like
can
a Victor Q or something.
yeah, but you can just do it like on every auto that you use the last hit and run at them, and then if they stay in range for your double shot, you just smack them with it.
Actually sounds so annoying.
Yeah. I had
And
I played against an Echo, and he flamed me. He was like, I bet you're a ranged top laner player too. And I was like, dude, I'm just an ADC player. Relax.
yeah, and I messed around like trying to go around different walls with his E because you can do some pretty crazy swings around usually the walls next to a bush and like bottom tri bush or even like the path to blue buff from Dragon on the red side blue buff.
Mm,
You can do like a pretty crazy swing around that area as well.
yeah.
And just there's really crazy swings about around towers as well. For the first tier towers, you can do one around mid lane and one around bot lane. Um, so it's really good to like try to practice all of them because you can just like bypass towers and that sort of thing
Hmm.
and like get behind them or something, or even just like use it to get away. So I feel like there's a lot of mastery that will be needed for this champion and like but until a certain point of mastery or like understanding of the champion, I don't even know if he's worth playing because like you said he's kind of weird. He just has auto attacks like a weird Sivir Q, and then like his W doesn't have combat effectiveness like a camouflage. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he's probably still worth playing while people like don't know how much damage he does. Because I think in my games, like I played him probably like 4 or 5 times. It seemed like a lot of times I would go in and like expect like, oh, I'm in such a bad spot, like I'm an ADC, right? Like I'm in such a bad spot, like I'm not gonna do damage. I attack so slowly, it feels just so strange, and then I'll still kill people, and like once you get a kill and if you use your E's right and the resets, like it'll feel like pretty easy to get a lot done in team fights. But until like your E is strong, I really think you don't just like sit there and do a lot of damage, but when you find the right openings and kind of use your spells right, you kind of do have a decent amount of burst, and your ulti can pick off things. As long as you get a kill or two and get like multiple E's or any reses off, then you've done your job in team fights. But I feel like a lot of time people just don't expect like Akshan to fly out of nowhere, like out of invis into an E and then be on your backline. But if you really did just go into a 1v1 like DPS check with him, most champs should win, I'd feel like.
Okay. Well, you brought up two things there. One is damage. He already got like a hot fix buff, I
Hmm.
believe. And then two is how does the revive feel like? Does it feel like bullshit or how do you, what's your thoughts on that so far?
Um, I don't know. I think a lot of the games that I won, we kind of played from like ahead. Like if I was snowballing a little bit. It seems like there were a few times where I got like an impactful revive, but never like a full like team wipe res, in where like they had a Twitch or something that was getting quadra kills, and then I would go and find him and pull him back. It seemed like every res I found, it was just like a 1 for 1 kind of thing. Like where we'd fight like a 2v2 like with a jungler, and the jungler would die and then I'd get the kill back, which seemed nice, but I never got like any like super game swinging reses. I didn't feel like.
Yeah, I realized that early game it might matter a little bit, but really it's just like what 5 6 seconds off of your res. I guess later on after like 20 minutes it'll be more impactful so to speak. But then really there's not much you can really do if you only res one person, and if the fight went badly, then one person being alive again doesn't change much.
Yeah,
So I guess there's more to see with that.
definitely the big
So
thing
that's good.
early
You got
is
some
the
Kai'Sa.
100 extra gold. Like that's helpful for snowballing a little bit, but yeah, the red like yeah, a couple seconds off isn't always that important for whoever you're resing in the early game.
And then, like you said, the ulti is kind of funny how you can like hit turrets with it on accident when you have to
Mhm.
target champions.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool actually that you can hide from it, not just like locked on like Caitlyn.
All right. Anything else about Akshan?
I'm good with the Akshan talk. I think we'll have to see. I don't think he's going to be available for playoffs, unfortunately, but we'll see if he is available for Worlds. That might be kind of exciting to see if anybody will pick him up by then.
True. Yeah. See some faker Akshan.
Tarzan Akshan. It's a little bit of a shame. I'm not sure if he can jungle. Probably not.
I don't
Um,
think there's any way he jungles.
yeah, yeah. But otherwise, I mean, like you said, it looks like he has really cool like maneuvering mechanic, and it's gonna take some time for people to get used to what he could do, and then for other people to get used to playing around him on top of him being stealth.
Hmm.
All right, and then we can get started with this episode with patch 11.16, the preview posted on Twitter. In this patch, we've got a small little Sona rework. We can talk about that, and then also just some pretty decent nerfs to common champions in the meta right now. So some things that pointed out to me was Big Lee Sin nerf on his W. They're really hitting the Omnivamp on his second part of his W from 10 to 30% to 5 to 25%. That's pretty important for his laning and even his jungle clear. Another nerf that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. I like that it's a bigger nerf. Like I mean, it's half of his level 1 W Omnivamp, right? And so I feel like for laning, where or I guess it's both, but like mostly for laning, since that's usually your only source of sustain. That's like 50% hit to what normal Omnivamp you'd get just hitting minions.
Yeah, and it feels pretty unfair in the first place where like he's an energy champion and he gets free lifesteal. Like why is it like that?
Yeah,
Why is the champion designed this way?
yeah. I wonder if people still lane with him like with that, but do like a W max, because then you get back to normal like high sustain amounts. But I feel like a lot of the reason why people have picked him up recently is doing the like E max stuff with Iron Spike Whip. But if that is not the case, I just wonder if people are still like ingrained about like, oh, I'm a Lee Sin top player, like I'll keep playing him and do something different.
Yeah, honestly, I think I have seen some people in LCS do like wacky skill orders. Well, they'll put like 3 points in E and then like 2 points in Q and 2 points in W to help them lane or something like that. So it's not out of the question for them to mix it up or try to put an extra point into their W early
True,
to help them mitigate some matchups.
true, true.
Another nerf that I saw coming through is a big Lunu nerf. They're adding some cooldown to her W and for her ulti as well, for her level 1 ulti. I guess that's just good to see. I guess she was getting a little annoying and people were playing Lulu top.
Yeah, I think those are good skills to hit it with too. Everybody hates being polymorphed.
Yeah, it feels bad when you can't kill somebody and that darn Lulu stops you. And then another big nerf I would say is a small nerf to Xin Zhao's base AD from 66 to 63.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also there's a Diana nerf here as well
Oh,
to reduce her monster damage.
yeah, definitely good hits to some top tier junglers, I think. Even if they're just like kind of like little nudges, I think they're worthwhile for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of junglers, we got some champion buffs for Jarvan, Maokai, Nunu, and Shaco lined up. A little bit of just love taps here and there for each of those champions. And then I'm interested in a small buff for Jin and also a small buff for Sivir as well. On the hunt, let's go.
Heck yeah, on the hunt. Yeah, I
It
figured to be in big into that Jarvan buff, dude. You're excited. I can feel it already.
Yeah, it's actually kind of it looks like a pretty good buff as well. Like a notable buff to the passive damage, but like pretty much the first hit of every auto on every jungle camp is just going to be do more damage. Like that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then your ulti damage is going to be higher as well, and that's really good for AoEs and wombos. So I'll take it.
Yeah, especially for some bruiser or assassin builds too, not just that tank Jarvan shit.
I mean, yeah, even Gore Drinker is like plain tank, you know.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, that's it for me. Was there any other things in this patch that took interest to you?
I'm just interested to see how that Sivir buff plays, because I feel like it looks like quiet, just a little bit, but a Sivir with 90% AD ratio on her W, like that sounds, you hit level 13 and you just start doing 5 auto attacks on the whole enemy team at once, like it's broken. But we'll see. Nobody plays Sivir, so maybe it'll just be me.
Yeah, and speaking of nobody plays, there's also, like I said before, there's going to be a Sona change, where they're like reworking her passive and taking some passives off of her ulti and kind of moving it to her main passive, but we could talk about that next week when it all gets finalized.
Yeah, as we let the drama and all of it settle down, I feel like I've seen a surprising amount of people who, who even knows that there were Sona players. It's a surprising amount of people that are like complaining about it so far. So we'll see if that reaches a final point on any of that.
All right, now for content, have you been partaking in any League of Legends content in the past week?
Not too much, I think. I was kind of sick. I just watched LCS when I could for the most part over the weekend. I don't think I caught anything besides like the TSM Legends episode, maybe some Hotline League.
I respect that. Yeah, I just watched most of the usual stuff as well. So I think I did the dive. I think there was no summoning insight this week, but I was listening to the crackdown with Abadage just now. Pretty interesting to learn about his player history and then also how it's like on 100 Thieves right now. And just show my appreciation for Dom and Thorin, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, I still haven't been watching. I haven't really been watching like any of the LCS content, like Next Level or Masterminds. Um, I don't know. I feel I would probably be interested in Next Level just because I feel like they have pro features on there and they actually talk about meaningful stuff sometimes or just like hidden gems. But otherwise, like I don't think I'm really interested in like listening to any of the broadcast talk right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've actually probably the only show that I've caught the last couple weeks has been the Masterminds, and I think it's just because I've been, I don't know, not had anything else to do on Saturdays, like leading up to LCS. So I've caught both of those shows the last couple weeks, and it's kind of funny. I mean, it's like all pros for the most part, minus Kobe, and then they just play like an LCS game, or not an LCS game. They go and play like ranked flexed, and like they go in with like some troll like plan about like, oh, we're gonna have like last week's was like we're gonna have Elise support and go like full AP, and the week before was like pink top Cassidon or something like that. And so like they get all the pros ideas and like what we should do, what the comp should be, and then they go into flex and play it, which is kind of fun to watch. But
Yeah, I think that there's some angle in there that's like, oh, that sounds like fun. I would watch that. But then I think I watched one about like mid recon, and I was flaccid after watching it.
yeah,
It wasn't for me.
I think that was the first one. I don't know. It did feel like they've kind of like played around with the timing of it. I think like where the first one I definitely felt like they spent a lot of time talking about MidRecon and like oh there's so many plans around it, and it's like, dude, just get the four pros out here, talk some like stupid shit about it, and then you don't need to spend 20 minutes going over like how we're actually going to build MidRecon. Nobody really cares unless you get pentakills on it. So just like go play the game and make it funny. And I felt like they did that a little bit better in the last couple episodes.
Okay, okay. Maybe I've been running through like everything on weekends, so maybe if there's some extra time, I'll tune into that.
Yeah, it definitely is a little interesting. Like I feel like Next Level is one of those where like I always feel like I should go back and watch it. I don't know that I would feel that way about Masterminds, but like if you're around, if you they're like, oh shit, LCS is on, right? And then you tune in, and it's like, oh shit, never mind, it's next. It's like at 1 o'clock, not now. And then you're like, oh, I guess I could watch this. It's fine. It's fine for that.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that they put it on right before LCS actually. Like you had said before, they replaced like old startup desk before the games, and so I like that there's if you really can't wait for LCS, you can still tune into the stream and there's something new you probably haven't seen before. So I do like that
Yeah,
they're doing it that way now.
it's a good transition from LEC too. If you watch that in the morning, then just scoot on over.
Yeah, I've actually been kind of an early bird lately, so I like that sometimes you can get up at like 7 or 8 a.m. and LEC is on if you really want to watch something or just tune something on.
Mm.
Okay, and then for some roster moves this week, there was nothing for week 8, but coming in for week 9, we've got some new players coming in. By new players, I mean some fresh players from Academy, and by Academy players, I mean played in LCS. And so it came out today that for week 9, Jose Dioto and Palafox are both back in for the LCS main roster for FlyQuest. And this is after a tumultuous 1 and 2 week in week 7 and then an 0-3 week here in week 8. So I don't really know if this is really going to change anything. We'll talk about the standings later, but it looks like they're bringing out the big guns again. So what do you think about this move from FlyQuest?
Yeah, I mean, I think last week I said that I wouldn't be surprised if FlyQuest puts in their whole LCS roster again, or like the old LCS roster. But it seems like this is them saying, oh well, Jose Dioto and Palafox have been doing well enough in academy, like, and I mean, they did well enough in LCS before. It's not like they have to really prove themselves, but it's just them kind of deciding on this is our best roster to put forward, I think. And I think that's smart. Like, I think they had a bit of a honeymoon phase, like the 3-0 week and all, with FlyQuest Academy at first, but definitely I wouldn't say they had their best five players in the org in, just like from an individual standpoint. I think this probably brings them closer to that, but they still are probably keeping in a good amount of the overall team synergy. You do a little bit of swapping, but taking out mid jungle as like a unit is probably pretty good too. Instead of taking out like just like the AD and just the jungle, and then you leave like two duos across the map that are little like paired together instead of getting a full group that is all five. I think it's a good idea, especially considering they went 0-3 this week. They've only got 1 week left, and they really should put their best foot forward to try and make playoffs.
Yeah, agreed. And then yeah, we can talk about that later. Hopefully this makes a difference, and hopefully they don't have another 0-3 week because that could be really punishing. And then before we talk about LCS Summer Split Week 8, we can
All right, dude. You want me to go first?
yeah, let's let you go first.
All right, all right. So this one is a bit of an LS disciple kind of pick for me, but it's one that I've definitely played around with. I've got a buddy who does it all the time. He's a jungler, and this is just like whenever he plays lanes, he'll do it. But if you go lane lethality Graves, that's like a really fun pick right now. I think you go like electrocute on him and electrocute, and then the other like the lethality dash. What is it? Sudden impact, and then like on Ravenous Hunter, and you can go whatever other runes you want for your secondary, whether it's precision or inspiration or sorcery. But you just go like Eclipse early. You have a ton of sustain in lane. You always have the push. Like nobody can contest your push. With Electrocute, you have like super insane trades, just that most champs can't pressure you with. Like you just go in, you can auto queue or you can queue through the wave and just run at them, and you'll have like the minion advantage to that. So it's a really fun lane to play, and you can kind of bully a lot of people with it. Go kind of insane in lane. You should watch out for jungle ganks because you can be vulnerable if you go in, but it's also potential to go. It's also potential to go, super insane, super saiyan 2v1 against the enemy jungler. Um, it's really fun. I like playing Graves just in general. I'll play him like in ARAMs too when I get him, and you just go nuts trying to do the same thing but into five people instead.
I can respect that. I've seen you play it a couple times before. Do you prefer like solo top lane, or do you still try it out as a bottom laner as well? What do you prefer?
I don't know that he's that good bot lane right now. I haven't tried him bot in a while, but I think his mid lane matchups are usually like really good too. Just because,
Oh,
especially when you
okay.
when you go lethality, you get just so much burst that a lot of the time you'll beat out, and you can like one shot a lot of like squishy mid laners that you can still win like in bruiser matchups and stuff in top lane. But I think it's probably easier for you to beat up on like mages. So you go like collector or eclipse early into like another lethality item. You can go like Serpent's Fang if they have a lot of shields, or you go Edge of Night for like some tankiness, or collector and then transition into some more crit or lifesteal, and you can get super tanky. If you're already doing enough damage, if they're like all squishy, you can go like pivot really early. Like if you go Eclipse into collector or something into a like Spirit Visage is cool, and you can go like Spirit Visage into Bloodthirster, IE, stuff like that. You can mix and match like a lot of like tank items in. I've seen some people trying to like I think Tarzan tweeted something, and Tarzan I only, he's got some whack Graves insight. Other than that, I don't condone anything that he does in solo queue. But I saw him trying to spout something about like a Wits End Randuin's build, which sounds a little crazy, but Graves can do a lot of damage, so I'm not that surprised if you can pivot into some crazy tank builds too.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people or a lot of AD carries starting to pick up Wits End, like Kallista's, Kai'Sa's. I feel like that item is probably overtuned, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's seen the next couple patches or some slight adjustments to either the damage or the stats that the completed
Yeah,
item
I
gives.
bet I feel like they'll probably hit like the amount of AD that it gives. Like I'm surprised at how much AD, and I mean it gives a ton of magic resist. I get that, and it feels like the on hit does a lot of damage, but it gives you like you get at least two longswords worth of AD into it as well, which helps out a lot of ADCs that wouldn't normally just go like the old Wits End that was full attack speed and the on hits. You can still supplement your ratios.
Yeah, and you'll make up for like the difference in not making a Zeal item for the crit with just like the on hit damage as well.
Right.
Kind of, I don't know if it evens out, but there's still something there to substitute for the lost crit chance. All right, that's a solid pick of the week, man. For me, I'm gonna go with another ARAM pick. This one I feel pretty strong about. I have like this whole list of like ARAM kind of like fundamentals or foundations that I feel like if you set these down, like then you'll win a lot more ARAM games. I feel like I should compile those thoughts together. But anyway, so for my pick of the week, it's gonna be Tier the Goddess on ARAM and starting tier on every champion that uses mana. I think I actually think that this season, I feel like with the reduced cost of 400, I feel like it is a must have for any champion that uses mana because my philosophy, I guess, and you can kind of get away with it if you get away with not taking tier if you manage to get like presence of mind
Hmm.
and you can just like refresh your mana infinitely if all the fights work out in that way. But sometimes you get into like slow stalemate kind of standoffs where like you're pushing every wave into the tower and they clear it with like a Nivea or something and then you just wait for the next wave. Sometimes you get into this kind of standoff situations and that's where we basically the like having infinite mana it feels like with starting tier it feels so necessary and I also advocate for it because one of my like ARAM philosophies of how I approach it is I feel like sometimes you should get really scrappy but also like obviously the less that you die the better it should be and so the longer that you can stay alive or the more lives that you can or the more kills that you can contribute to before you yourself dying is the better and sometimes if you don't start with tier you'll just run out of mana within like the first 2 or 3 minutes depending on the champion
Hmm.
and so I feel like just the boost to maximum mana as well as the mana regen on top of starting with like Guardian's Orb for most AP champions, it really gets you through of like giving you the feeling of having infinite mana for most champions. Sometimes you can still run out with like Xerath, but even then it's like it's really difficult. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it's always a must start for to go with tier, starting tier and like a guardian item because I feel like most of those are overtuned as well. For any champ, even for like a Mumu or something, I would still advocate for, that you should start it. In the off chance that like you end up living too long, but then you just run out of mana, and so like you must die for your effectiveness to like go back up. But then like, but if you die, you give them gold, and that's not good. I don't know my thought process, and I feel like I'm pretty set on that. I feel like you must start tier for these high elo ARAM games.
High elo ARAMs, dude. That's what I'm always afraid to play ARAM with you, dude, because I feel like I get into the super sweat lobbies, you know, the people that don't go in on every snowball. Those are the fun games.
True. Actually, there's like this website where you can. It's like an aggregate website where it'll just look at your most recent ARAM games and like calculate the MMR of every player, and then that gives like an estimated MMR for you. And I think my ARAM MMR is like around Diamond 3 or Diamond 2,
Jeez,
so it's not
okay,
too
dude.
crazy,
Just
but
a just a
it
casual
could be
flex
better.
over there. I get it. It's fine.
No, it. I was actually hoping it would be better because I pretty much only play ARAM lately. I've pretty much only played ARAM for like the last 2 years actually. Well, especially last year I didn't play a lot of ranked, and yeah, it's not that high actually. I thought it'd be maybe Diamond 2 or Diamond 1.
It's okay, dude. You'll get there.
Yeah, you just gotta grind out the games, and hopefully I don't get inted in my promos. Okay, now we can get started with LCS Summer Split Week 8. It was quite a crazy ride, and only one team went 3-0 this week, and you won't guess who it is. Starting from the top, we have 100 Thieves still in first place, tied actually with another team. For Week 8, they went 1-2. That puts their total 17-7 record for the summer, and for a total of 28-14. So they're still number one overall in Summer Split. However, they are tied for first place with TSM, who went 2-1 this week, still losing a Friday game, but barely managed to pull it out against C9 on Sunday. We might talk about that a little more. For the Summer Split, they are 16-8, and then in total, they're 28-14, tied for first place. Up next is C9, who are also tied with Evil Geniuses. C9 went 2-1 this week. Their total is 13-11 for the summer, and overall for the year, they're 26-16. Also, 26-16 is Evil Geniuses, who are 16-8 for the summer. So, if this was only Summer Split, they would be tied for second right now. And they went 2-1 this week. And so they've been playing really well and keeping up the fire from the last few weeks. Next up is TL, who I would say had a bunch of close games this weekend, but they managed to pull it out 2-1. That puts their summer total at 13-11 and their yearly total at 25-17 to solidly put them in fifth place for the Summer Split. Next up, we have Dignitas Quantum Pay, who also had a 2-1 week. There was a lot of those. Their summer total is 10-14, and that puts them at an even 21-21 for the year thus far. Immortals had a crazy 3-0 weekend for Week 8. That puts their summer total for 13-11 and gives them a positive win-loss ratio. And it puts them pretty close to possibly contesting with Dignitas for the 6th place spot next week, because their yearly total is just one game behind at 20-22. Apart from the bunch of people with 20-plus wins are the next teams. Next up, we have FlyQuest at 0-3 for the Week 8. So their summer total is 7-17, and their yearly total is 13-29. Contesting them for a playoff spot, just one win behind, is Golden Guardians at 12-30 for the year. That puts their summer total at 9-15, and they also had an 0-3 week this week, which feels kind of bad. And then finally, in last place, we have CLG again, who did go 1-2 this week to put their summer total at 6-18 and their yearly total at 11-31. And mathematically, maybe they could still get into playoffs, but we can murder She Wrote It right here and just say rest in peace. And man, but we can give CLG a memorial another time though.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy week this week. A lot of 2-1s for the top teams. It seemed like they kind of bounced back, but the top of the standings are looking really close. And then the 7th and 8th place spots, mostly just the 8th place spot, is up for contention. And next week, we're going into the final week of the LCS Summer Split before it gets locked in for playoffs. What do you want to talk about first, man? I guess I'll let you know that play of the week was Destiny, support for Immortals, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, I think well deserved over there for the Immortals guys. I mean, it was a big 3-0. They're the only 3-0 of the weekend, as we've said. But they picked up some good. I mean, this was not just a they should have won all these games 3-0. They didn't play FlyQuest, Golden Guardian, CLG. These were wins over Dignitas, over EG, and over 100 Thieves. Those are major dubs to pick up for the 7th place squad in the LCS. So pretty good for them heading into the final week. They are locked for a playoff spot. Just fighting with Dig for that 6th place spot, which I don't know how much it impacts. I think that's upper bracket still, right? That's an upper bracket spot, so that's a big thing to fight for, not be placed immediately into the losers bracket. Yeah, I don't know. That's a big spot for them. I think the other thing that I would be I don't know. I feel like it's been kind of under the radar the last few weeks that TSM is actually contesting for first. Every time that they've had a chance to tie for first or take it away, they've lost a game and stayed just that one game behind 100 Thieves. But now 100 Thieves finally had a extra bad weekend, and let TSM tie it up. So it's big at the top of the table for them to if they can secure the first place spot. I think they play 100 Thieves this week, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the first game on Friday. So that's a, big decider on who's going to take away that number one seed playoffs.
Yeah, it's good pointing out. Yeah, like you said, it seemed like TSM were behind like a game for like most of the time, but yet they've quietly gone like 2-1 for like the past 5 weeks or something like that. So I feel like they haven't been getting a lot of attention, probably deservedly so, because it's just weird that they lose the first game every week, and that kind of like brings your hopes down. But then they barely managed to scrape away the next two games on Saturday and Sunday. Especially this past Sunday. That's probably my game of the week if I had to pick one.
Oh,
TSM
for sure.
versus Cloud9, where it looked like TSM had a good start, and then Cloud9 brought it back, and then it looked pretty doomed for TSM, and it was kind of getting to the point of like, okay, they'll just do this, do this, they'll close the game out, and that should be it. But it ended up being like kind of a twist ending there with a couple of like clutch closes by the TSM team on two different fronts. So that was probably my favorite game of the week.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a fun game to watch. I mean, it was at the beginning of the game with Blabber on Olaf and how some of those fights went. It was giving me flashbacks to like the last time I think that TS7 100 Thieves played, where closers Olaf just like ran over the entire team, and I was thinking, oh shit, that's just gonna happen again. Bad news bears for TSM. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Perks had some interesting deaths. Like his scoreline definitely stands out when you look at the summary of this game. Uh, it seemed like he was dying in a lot of places where he didn't need to be, and they were otherwise. But otherwise, it felt like such a easy game kind of for C9 to win. They had this oppressive poke with Zoe and Varus just stalling out so many of these fights. But TSM managed to find, just they were playing pretty well around dragons and got just like the final one. Yeah, like you said, I mean, the ending of that game, you kind of have to watch it to understand how it happened. But they played super well, made some decisive calls to stay in it, and C9 probably made some blunders to let them get away with it. But they took the game. It was definitely a wild one to watch.
Yeah, Perks was not on his A game that game, I would say. He gave a lot of crucial deaths away in the middle of it. And he can't blame the lights on it, actually, because I believe they played at home for Saturday and Sunday,
Yep.
because there were a couple of LCS teams whose staff members had tested positive for COVID. And so I believe that some teams played from home on Friday, some teams played in studio on Friday, but then for Saturday and Sunday, they definitely everybody played remote, and they would still like show the LCS booths afterward, like an empty seats. And they would show
Hmm.
like old clips of them like celebrating a win or something. That's pretty funny. But anyways, yeah, I just it was pretty crazy to see how fed the Blabber was on Olaf and how strong Sven was on Varus as well. And but it still gave you hope every time Huni hit a fat EQ on somebody on Jace. But yeah, I don't know if any team deserved to win that game, but it was a wild ride for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Feels bad, man.
And even the end, even the choice for TSM to go for the like the ending there, I was feeling kind of suspect about it, because I wasn't sure they themselves didn't look like they could make up their mind at first. Where some people wanted, it looked like some people wanted to take the Elder, and some people wanted to end, and then because they hesitated a little bit, it looked a little sketch at first, but they barely managed to pull it through, and I think they had to do it at that time as well. But other than that, I didn't give any other game that much attention from this week, I'd say.
Yeah, that's fair. You're too sucked into the TSM C9 and rivalry draw.
Yeah, I think I managed to catch a few glimpses of some TL games this weekend, and I'm really not impressed with their gameplay and team play as a whole. I feel like they're struggling against even some of these lower tier teams, and I believe one of them, they even then they barely managed to pull out a win. I will say that I am pretty happy with watching Golden Guardians play Tom Kench middle. I'm
Hmm.
pretty entertained by that, and I wonder. Actually, I think that was the game that like TL barely managed to win. It's like a Blaze Olive was just kind of playing like a monkey
Right.
on Tom Kench,
But yeah,
but
I think
but
I'm
he's testing the limits.
yeah, I'm with you though on TL being kind of shaky. Like I think it seems like all split long we've had these like top 5 teams, and I feel like at this point Teal's kind of lost their case for being top 5. I mean, they're only one game behind EG and C9 right now. They're really not out of it. I mean, they've locked top 5 like they have to be like in playoffs top 5, but they just don't look it, man. Like the games that they win, some of them are just shaky and inconsistent, and the games that they lose, some of them just look bad. Uh, I don't know. They don't look like they have confidence. They haven't beat a top team in so long. Their game. I mean, their games this week. They played Golden Guardians. Their one win on Sunday. It was close. They played Dignitas and
Yeah.
lost on Saturday, and they played FlyQuest, who's gone 0-3 this week too. I don't know. I don't remember how close that was, but just like they're not good wins that they picked up. They're wins that they like should have picked up. Like this shouldn't even be a question that they're winning these games. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go for them, but it's not looking great.
Yeah, it has not looked great for a while now, and I don't know if the jungle swap is to blame, or Alfari coming back in the middle of the split is to blame, or maybe just them having to switch a coach is to blame. But something is going on there where their play has deteriorated from the summer split playoffs or spring split playoffs. Okay, and yeah, I guess from there we can highlight some games. You already started with Friday's first game of 100 Thieves versus TSM. I would follow that up with EG versus C9 right after that as well. I would definitely keep my eye on that. And again, that's also implications for like third place possibly, or still again, possibly even second place.
Or first.
Given that. Yeah, or maybe even first. Maybe there could be like a tiebreaker kind of. Oh, that reminds me that next week there could be a lot of tiebreakers.
Yeah.
For the top and even the bottom of the standings.
I actually don't know how many tiebreakers we'll see because there's 5 round robins on the season. I think every team should have a head-to-head matchup like decided one way or another. So they might not be tiebreakers unless it's like
Does
a
it
three-way.
work that way? Do the spring split games count towards the head-to-head?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's a full split of games for the placements, so or full season, so it should be. But if there's like 3-way situations, then I think head-to-heads get thrown out. Like they don't do any kind of deciphering for that. You just go into a like 3-team round robin kind of thing.
Oh wow, okay.
But yeah,
And
we'll
then
see.
I guess another one to watch out for. I guess Friday is just gonna be banger. Is well yeah, FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. That could decide that could help to decide who gets the last spot in playoffs. And then we have TL versus IMT. To see a struggling TL versus a surging Immortals. That could be an interesting game for us to watch. And then Dignitas versus CLG. Honestly, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Honestly, this whole weekend, every game is kind of gonna be important. I think probably come Sunday we'll see some matchups that maybe won't matter, but every team has something to fight for still. Even like we said, CLG is who's mostly eliminated. They could make it into playoffs. So everybody wants to win their games still coming up this weekend. So any time is a good time to tune in, I would say. I don't know. I think probably for me, I think the most important matches though are probably what the most exciting ones will be. I don't know. I think the top teams are probably playing about how we'd expect. I don't know that I'm looking to see any more. Like there's got to be some movement around these standings, but I think current trajectories will hold, and I think we'll see like TSM, EG's probably going to try and make a case to pull into those top 2 somehow. I don't know that it'll be easy for them, but they'll try. They play 100 Thieves on Sunday. That'll actually be a pretty good game to see if they can swipe away that top spot, but it'll be up to C9 and 100 Thieves to lose a couple games for that to come into play.
Alrighty, that's going to be it for episode 23 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on if you haven't already subscribed. We appreciate it if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll we'll see you on next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
See you guys.